Everyone enjoys getting out on the town for some live music. And there's nothing like going backstage and down the hall for a VIP pass to the inside information and interviews with the bands, singers, and songwriters that you enjoy. Welcome to Hall Around Town Radio's Backstage Hall Pass, a showcase of homegrown talent, mixing independent music with personal interviews and a behind-the-scenes look at our music community. Backstage Hall Pass is your front row center seat to some great conversation with the area's most talented artists. Whether you like rock, blues, folk, country, or R&B, Backstage Hall Pass delivers you a daily dose of the stories behind the music. And now, here's the host of our show, Scott Hall.
Well, all right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Hall Around Town Radio's Backstage Hall Pass, where we're featuring a big event going on this weekend at the Belle and the Bear in Montgomery, Ohio. Our friends down there putting on what we call Women Who Rock. And I'm going to jump into the program here for just a minute, if I can, with the wonderful Miss Kathy Laverde, who's going to join me today. Let me see if I can bring Kathy in here a little bit. There she is. How you doing, Kathy?
Great. Thank you. How are you doing?
Good. And Kathy's been heavily involved with this event at the Belle and all that. But we have a special guest today, Kathy, and we want to get to him right away because he's on a tight time schedule. He's a busy man. But we're going to chat today with Gary Hoy. And what do you think about that, Kathy?
I am so excited. I'm so excited that he's a part of this and that he's going to be here. And he's just amazing.
And for those of you that may not know Gary or his background, which you should, if you don't, you need to definitely follow him and see what he's up to. A writer, producer, great guitarist, has been working with people such as ESPN. If you watch sporting events, you may hear his music come onto the ESPN world, and done just so many other things out there, including some very popular Christmas tunes that he does called Ho Ho Hoy. That we're going to talk about throughout the show today. So without any further, I want to bring him into the program if we can. Help us welcome today, guys, to the program here on Backstage Hall Pass. Mr. Gary Hoy, how are you?
I'm doing great. Great to see you guys. Thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
All right, Gary, obviously you sound great there wherever you're at and whatever you're doing. The mic sounds good, and we're so glad to have you with us today and talking about this wonderful event that's going to happen on Sunday.
Well, thank you so much, man. I'm actually in my home studio here in the woods of New Hampshire. And, over the last couple of years with, the lockdown and everything, I finally figured out, all right, get a decent mic, get some, sit toward the window light, don't sit in the dark. So I'm getting better at this. It took 2 years.
Yeah, we've all learned to virtually chat. And this is a great way of bringing you in before you get here on Sunday. And the event we're talking about is at the Belle and the Bear in Montgomery, Ohio. It's called Women Who Rock, and Gary's going to be appearing there and playing some of these incredible guitar riffs that I have heard so much about.
Yes, I'm so excited to be coming in. And, Kathy's been a friend of mine for a long time since we've done some rock and roll fantasy camps. She told me about the first one. And when this one came up, she said, would you want to come out and play and be a part of it? And I said, well, I'm not a woman. That's the first problem. And she said, but you act like a girl most of the time. So anyway, I said, let's do it. And then we invited Britt Lighton from Vixen to come as well. And she's an amazing guitar player and a great person. So I'm just excited to be a part of this. And, it goes way back to, I think I grew up with 4 sisters and, just growing up around all my sisters and stuff. I just love women. I love supporting any cause that has to do with helping women because, we've seen it all. And it's nice to be a part of this great thing.
Well, Gary, you're going to be blown away by the female talent that's going to be on that stage on Sunday. I was fortunate enough to host that event last year, going to be there with you hosting this year, along with Bridget Rock from 96 Rock, a local radio station. And let me tell you, this female lineup of singers is amazing. And this is a no-miss event for people. You need to get out to the Belle and the Bear, even if you just have a few minutes on Sunday to come in, stop in, contribute a little bit to the cause. And Kathy's going to explain all that here as we move on in the show. But I want to get a little background of Gary before we get started, because Gary, for those out there on our show, like I said, that don't know you well, I've done some homework, and you've done work with, Steve Vai, Peter Frampton, Rick Derringer, Deep Purple, Lita Ford. I mean, you've been out there, you've worked in the music industry for a long time. How did you How old were you when you got started? How did you get the kind of bug, or what inspired you to take up guitar?
Well, going back to the beginning days of just getting excited about music. For me, it was, if you want to go right back to the kitchen table, it was my sister was dating a guy who played the guitar, Bobby, and he used to come to the house, and and just sitting across from the kitchen table, just seeing him play the guitar, it was so fascinating to me. I'll pick up my guitar right here.
Awesome.
Just like, if just to see somebody hold a guitar, and just see his fingers move around the neck. It looked like a spider. It just looked like a spider running up and down the neck to me. It just was the most fascinating thing. So I said to him, "Would you teach me how to play guitar?" And he said, "Well, first you got to get a guitar." So, I managed to get, a cheap little, cheap guitar, Sears and Roebuck's guitar. And he showed me a couple of chords, and he was a really good guitar player, which helped. But he got me started, and I just became pretty obsessed as a teenager. I was about 14 years old when he showed me a couple of chords. And that was the biggest mistake he ever made, because every time he came over to see my sister, I was chasing him around, show me another chord, and they were hiding in the cellar, making out or something. I don't know.
That's a great story. Yeah, I love that you have the guitar with you today, and we're going to call and keep that in your hand, if you will, for a few minutes, because I have something else I'd like to ask you to do if you can for us. But Gary, in your bio, it talks about you were hanging around Berklee College of Music. You were surrounded by a lot of musical influences in your day, and who are some of your big influences right now? What famous musicians do you admire the most?
Well, the story's true. I grew up hanging outside Berklee College of Music, because we grew up with 6 kids. My mom didn't have the money to send me to Berklee, but she's like, you know what? Go down there and hang out. You might learn something. And so I did. I went to Berklee, and I met a couple guys walking around the bookstore, and I'm like, "Hey, do you go here?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'm graduating in a few weeks." And I said, "Well, would you teach me on Saturday afternoons if I came to your house, paid you some money?" And they're like, "Yeah, I need money." So I actually studied with Berklee graduates, and got like a backdoor education, learning. I wanted to learn how to play jazz. I wanted to learn how to play, that kind of like. I wanted to learn how to play chords in jazz and all that stuff. So these guys taught me how to read music. But to answer your question, for me, it goes back to the big ones like. Jimi Hendrix was a huge influence. Eric Clapton, of course, when I heard Stevie Ray Vaughan, it was a big change for me, just the way he attacked the guitar. Those guys were my biggest influences. Maybe Black Sabbath. When I was a kid, I used to like Black Sabbath a lot, which led me to audition for Ozzy Osbourne. It was one of my probably biggest breaks in my career was I got to audition for Ozzy. He came through Boston, and he flew me to California, and so I got to audition. Did not get the gig, but it changed my life, and it literally put me on the road to where I ended up.
Is that when Zakk Wylde got the gig?
Correct. Yes, that was when Zakk was in there, and I still love Zakk Wylde, even though he took my gig. And
yes, Zakk.
That experience to come that close, for me was really incredible. And I did a bunch of auditions in LA. I was out there living, trying to get a break, and I just kept auditioning for everybody, from Ronnie James Dio to Cher. Just everyone that was looking for a guitarist, and I kept coming close, but no cigar. And that's when I said, maybe I should just start making my own records and just do my own thing.
Outstanding. And Kathy, you've worked and you've been Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, I think it was, with Gary. Tell me about that experience a little bit.
Yeah, well, believe it or not, Gary, that's 11 years ago, more than 11 years ago when we first met. And I had only been playing bass for about a year, but it was my first rock camp that I went to in the Bahamas at the Atlantis, I think it's called. And and that was when I first met Gary. He was my camp counselor. And, it was just, that whole experience was insane, right? Playing with people like Gary. I think Kip Winger was there, Richie Kotzen, Rudy Sarzo, George Lynch, Ace Frehley, Lita Ford, Billy Sheehan. It was my mind was spinning the first time that I went. But A few of us stayed connected afterwards, and Gary and I've just stayed really good friends ever since. As you can tell, he's incredibly personable.
Not that you're dropping names or anything, Kathy.
No, it's an amazing camp. But he runs that whole thing,
Her first camp was pretty good. But
I would say so.
Kathy, I mean, she had talent. It must have been in her bones, because even when she played at that, short amount of time that she had been playing, we could all be like, she's got a groove. She's got a sense of timing and a feel. And that's really, what it takes. And then to see her progress now to where she's, now putting on shows and creating these great events and stuff. I'm really proud.
Well, you're going to get to see Kathy's style on Sunday on the stage there at the Belle and the Bear. And I always admire her. She's got that rock stance, the persona, the fiery redhead on stage, as I like to call her. And it's awesome. And this group of women, like I said, and the house band that'll be at the Belle and the Bear doing backing stuff with everybody, is just an amazing group of talented professional musicians. This is an event that, like I said, folks, you do not want to miss. And Gary, on your part of being there, what do you plan on doing on Sunday? What's your thing going to be, or is that a secret? Can I tell it on here?
Well, I'm just, I'm looking at the set list right here because Kathy sent me some songs. I'm looking at the list, man, and there's going to be some great singers, because we're doing songs by heart. We're doing songs by Pat Benatar, Metallica, just a lot of great singers, bands that you just want to hear. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some songs, various songs throughout the show. I know we're going to do some blues. I see Thriller's gone. I love B.B. King. And then we're going to do some like just old school rock and roll, some classic rock. I see Jimi Hendrix on the list. So I just want to be there to support. I'll be on the stage playing. I'll be hanging out with people, just, whatever, chatting it up, just hanging out and supporting the whole event. And it looks like it's going to be just an amazing show. And it starts in the afternoon, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So it starts in the afternoon. So it's a Sunday afternoon, beautiful thing going into the evening. And I think it's going to be perfect.
And we raised a lot of money last year. And like I said, Kathy's going to touch on that here at the end of the show, but it's for a great cause. And Gary, you do a lot of things throughout the year, and I noticed one of the things that you take great pride in is your Christmas shows and the rock and roll Christmas music that you play. And I heard a little riff the other day online as I was doing a little background on you, and man, the Grinch.
Yeah, the Grinch. That? Yeah, the Grinch was something that I wanted to do because I always loved the movie. And hold on, can you hold on for 1 second? Hold on.
Yeah, we'll hold on all day, man. We're good. And Kathy, what an honor it is to have Gary with us and going to be at this event, and Britt Lightning from Vixen. I mean, and the star-studded cast of women is just going to be amazing.
I don't know if you can hear that or not.
Yeah, we can hear it.
The Grinch, I wanted to sort of like take that song of the Grinch, the melody, but I wanted to have this like Metallica sound, so I went. So it has a heavy sound to it, and then just that whole, when it does the, it goes And when I learned that song and I recorded the song, I couldn't find any sheet music. I couldn't find any recording. All I had was a VHS tape of the movie. And I remember sitting there trying to learn the song, and it has this really like. And then when they go, that little riff, I was like, okay, this here, that's going to become like my Metallica. So that's what I did with it.
That is so amazing. And, I also know a little fact here. You were doing Christmas music, rock and roll style, even before Trans-Siberian was out there. I think you started a year or two before them, right? Yeah.
I started this in the early 90s, and, I just had this idea of taking Christmas music and seeing if I could just rock it out and just add something new to it. And the 12 Days of Christmas was the first one I recorded. It's kind of this big opus of riffs blended in with the melodies of Christmas music. And I always loved Christmas music growing up in New England, in the Boston area. And I just kind of fell into it. It wasn't anything I didn't think too hard of, even songs like Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, because it has that, I wanted to do it like a Chuck Berry, so the way that I play it, each song I sort of tried to find, like a treatment that I could do that would make it kind of special and make it its own thing. And as the songs kept developing, they've become, part of people's Christmas now. I meet fans, and it's, almost 30 years, 20 something years, 25, 30 years that we've been doing it. And it's to be a tradition with people and be part of their holiday every year is just, it's kind of a mind blower for me to even think it would happen. But my name was Hoey, so I'm like, ho, ho, Hoey. So
outstanding.
Thanks,
and
man.
you have written a lot of music, like you said. You can be heard on ESPN with some of your stuff. But what's the most famous, let's say, guitar riff you play? What do you think?
For me, the song that started my whole career was just an old song from the 70s going. Hocus Pocus by Focus. This little band in the Holland area, Dutch area, they remake of it in the early 90s, and I had a top 5 Billboard hit, and it really launched my career. It made people kind of notice me as a guitar player, and I did it right in the early 90s when the grunge thing was happening, and everyone said shred was dead. And I just kind of squeaked through with this little album called Animal Instinct, which is going to be 25-year anniversary is coming up next year, actually, of the Hocus Pocus release.
And thanks, Jim McCarthy, our offline producer here, for putting in the links to your pages there, your website, GaryHoey.com, and your Facebook page, Gary Hoey Official page on Facebook. Check those out, people, if you will. And Gary, a couple more questions, and we're going to talk about the event here as we wind this thing up today. But, we were talking about musical influences and the people that influenced you and all those things. But what really would be a description of what you do? What's a description of your music? Because I know you've done like surf music, rock music, all kinds of things. What would you describe your music as?
Well, for me, it's, honestly, my whole career has been, it's been like a chameleon, it's just been, look at me now and look at me next year, and it might be something totally different, whether it's my hairstyle or my music. I can't do the same thing for too long. I get bored doing the same thing. So growing up, I loved, instrumental music. Jeff Beck was one of my heroes. I toured with Jeff Beck 10 years ago, and we did a tour together. It was like the most amazing thing for me. And then recording holiday music, then I met Dick Dale and we recorded surf music. So, I love that whole sound of just going, the whole surf sound. So for me, and then I'm doing, my last 3 albums were blues rock, which was a blend of the blues sound and the rock sound. And now my newest record, I'm not really doing a blues kind of thing. I'm actually going more into a rock album with more, crazy guitar stuff after losing Eddie Van Halen, and things like that really affected me. So this new record is going to be more back to my rock roots, I think. So, but to describe me is just, I play a blend of a lot of styles of music. But if you come to my show, I promise you will not get bored.
I can tell that already. I can tell that it'll be everywhere and all kinds of fun.
It's like a pinball game. It just keeps going everywhere, bro.
Your blues reference earlier, though, where you're talking about The Thrill Is Gone, you are about to be blown away when you're there Sunday by the young lady who's going to sing that one, if it's who I think it is. And Kathy, it's Gina, I'm sure.
I need to be sanctified.
Amazing. Yeah. She will take you to church and then some on that one. It's a good one. And all the women are going to be fantastic. So why don't we segue real quick into Kathy for a second? And Kathy, let us know about this event. It is, I'll intro you here. Obviously, Women Who Rock starts at 2 p.m. on Sunday at the Belle and the Bear. The main show starting at 3. We have an opening act at 2 p.m. And then it's all to benefit women helping women who basically are raising money against gender-based violence and helping all people out there basically that have suffered from some sort of domestic violence or such. Kara's from the Belle and the Bear hosting that event at her location. So Kathy, throw it in there with what else you got going on, because I know there's a whole lot to talk about.
There is a whole lot to talk about. Yeah, we're kicking it off at 2. Ray Renee is another very talented girl that's joined us on Thursday nights. And so she's going to open the show with an acoustic set, and then the full band set will start at 3 o'clock. As you mentioned earlier, we've got such a strong house band that's going to be backing a lot of the women. And I don't want to leave anybody out, but, everybody from the singers from DV8 to the Heart Tribute Band to Strange Love and Miss Jackie. And we've got everybody. We've got raffles going on. Karis has put together some spectacular experiences to raffle off. We're going to have a guitar that is kind of a simulated version of Gary's guitar on his Dust and Bones album that he's going to play some, and then we're going to raffle that off as well. Split the pot. Most importantly, too, is Brian and Kelly Peters. I want to give them credit here because they did this last year for us, and they've stepped up again. Such an incredibly and wonderful, generous couple who are matching dollar for dollar all the donations that come in. And then, of course, my company, who's been supportive of women helping women for a number of years, is also partially sponsored. So it's going to be exciting. I mean, I really think it's going to be a packed house again. And I'm excited for Gary to meet our music community because I do think it's really special. And the Belle and the Bear, it's an experience in and of itself. Karis has done an amazing job with that place. And it really does have its own vibe. As Chris Reese said, it's where musicians go to see musicians play. And it really is like that.
And a huge shout out to Brian and Kelly. And also you didn't give your company a big name mention there, but that's Fident Wealth Partners, right?
Yep, Fident Wealth Partners. Yep.
And I'm so a huge supporter.
They're a huge supporter both years. And last year we raised over $30,000 for women helping women.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know.
And that's a great feat in one day. And let's hope we top that again this year. I'll be there helping host this event, and I'll be pressuring you to buy raffle tickets and do all kinds of things all day long, along with introducing all these great musicians who are going to be on the stage. I cannot wait for Sunday. And Kathy, you've got so much to do to get this thing ready. I know you've been working hard for the last few weeks trying to put it all together, just down to the fact that if somebody's watching today and they want to volunteer for part of the day and help do things, they can, correct?
Absolutely. And we've been overwhelmed by the amount of people that have stepped up to volunteer, which really helps. So not one person's having to work all day long. But I also want to give a shout out to the guys that have stepped in and supported this year as well. I mean, obviously Gary, but our house band, to some of the other artists that are coming in to support some of the songs. But we've also got the best production team, right? We've got Lee and Brian on production, along with Mongo from DV8. So we've got the dynamic duo, and the staff at Belle and the Bear that are going to be working tirelessly all day long because we have to get in there early in the morning. And so the men that have stepped in to support this has just been absolutely incredible.
Awesome,
Yay.
outstanding. Gary, one more thing.
Yes,
I'm going to ask you the question I ask every interview I do, and I've had some really bizarre answers to this one, but I'm going to ask you, if you could take the stage and play with one person, past or present, again, who would it be? Or for the first time, so to speak?
Oh, wow. That's a good one, man. Oh, wow. I hate to be boring. Go Jimi Hendrix. I mean, that's the first thing that came to my mind was Jimi Hendrix. But, I haven't played with Eric Clapton yet. If you're listening, Eric, I would love to do that.
I hope he's listening.
That would be fun. And, and other than that, I want to play with Kathy. That's on my list.
Well, Gary, you may see
one of your songs.
Yes, I know. We're going to play one of my original songs called Hold Your Head Up High.
Album. Yeah.
And Kathy's going to be involved in that one, huh?
Yes,
absolutely.
exciting.
I will kick people out of the way to play that song.
Yes.
Kathy and I have yet to do it, but we're eventually someday going to do a death metal version of "I Got You, Babe" by Sonny and Cher. Kathy and I are going to co-sing.
Sunday.
You never know what might happen. Yes.
I love that idea.
Gary, we know you have to run, so we're going to recap this real quick. And I would love to talk to you for hours on end because you are just an absolute wealth of guitar knowledge and musical knowledge. What's next for you? What's next right now? You said you were working on another rock album, you said.
Yeah, I am. I'm finishing up a new album. I just finished Lita Ford's new record, which isn't out yet, but she's working on that. But we just finished an album together, which is awesome. And it got mixed by Max Norman, who did Ozzy and Megadeth. Great engineer, producer, mixer. And so yeah, I have a new album coming out, which I just feel like it's a bunch of uplifting songs, man. It's a bunch of songs I think are going to really inspire people. And I'm taking care of my 84-year-old mom with COPD. I treat her every day. I hang out with her and keep her life happy. Taking care of some other family members right now and getting ready to get back on the road in the fall. So I'm taking a break right now for family, but I will be back soon.
And are you going to do your Christmas run this year?
Yes, the tour is well underway. We have about 15 shows booked right now for the holiday tour on sale. GaryHoey.com. There's like links on the homepage, but we don't have a date in Cincinnati for the holiday tour, which I'm really mad about. So maybe we can get one.
To fix that.
Yeah, let's prompt
one
that
in. Maybe I'll talk to the venue. Maybe they have a date for me. If not, next year.
There we go. We'll prompt that one. Well, Gary, it's been a great pleasure to have you with us today and an honor to have you on the show here. And for those of you that are watching, I know we didn't get to all your comments to pop them up on the screen because we were so enthralled with all the things that are going on here. But if you're watching after the fact that we're live, please leave a comment for us and we'll answer those for you. And if you want to show up to the event, that's going to be at the Belle and the Bear in Montgomery, Ohio on Sunday, starting at 2 p.m. with our opener, Ray Renee, and then into the main show at 3 o'clock. And this is for Women Who Rock, as they call it. Women Helping Women is the charity, and they're doing great things out there. And we look forward to making over $30,000 this year. We did 30,000 on our first year last year. Let's take that to 50 this year. How about that, Kathy, for some lofty goals?
Yeah.
That would be outstanding.
Awesome.
Outstanding. Gary, thank you much. I appreciate you being here.
Scott, thank you, man. I really do appreciate you having me on your show, and your studio looks really cool.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, we did the same thing you did in COVID. We just kind of put it all together there and, it became a home base. So we're doing some fun things here to support local music in the tri-state. And that's what our goal is. And Kathy, much love to you always. You're just a shining star in the world of music in Cincinnati. So thank you for being with me.
Thank you.
Yeah, we love you, Kathy. We really do.
Well,
all right, guys.
Thanks.
Stay with me till we're off the air. The guys, I'll be right with you there. And thank you, everybody, for joining us here at All Around Town Radio on Backstage Hall Pass. We've been on with Gary Hoey, who's going to be appearing Sunday at the Belle and the Bear for the Women Who Rock event. Hope to see you all there. We'll be there having a great time with you. And until then, guys, get out and support live local music and the bands and venues that bring it to you. Thanks for watching today. We'll be back with you tomorrow, Thursday, live at 5, featuring Who's